talk about more of like what happens during and how you might feel during these different times in your cycle. What should I talk about first? Should I talk about before you get your period or ovulation? I'll talk about ovulation first. Honestly, I'll talk about getting your period first, okay? No, I'll talk about ovulation first. So ovulation happens about, every woman's different again. So if you are not with these science terms, that's fine. Because white people made up a lot of these science terms and they don't really know a lot, it's okay. But it can happen anywhere between, I mean, the soonest is gonna happen, and some women are different. Some women ovulate during their period, boom, straight after their period. Some women ovulate 2 weeks after, that's the norm. It's 2 weeks after, but some people take 3 weeks. I think I do 3 weeks. I do like 2.5 to 3 sometimes, but like I said, each cycle is different. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4. It's funny because basically the time before you ovulate, that's like the time of your life where everything feels okay, where you feel like a normal human being 8 times out of 10, because during this time, like, nothing's really happening. Your estrogen is just progressing, and then when you ovulate, you feel, some women, they feel more beautiful. You know, you might feel like getting up in the morning, doing your makeup, putting your hair up. You might feel good, like, I'm that bitch, ain't nobody fucking with me.
You really had me out here thinking I was mid, like I wasn't that gas, like I wasn't that fire, like I wasn't that za. Are you crazy?
That might be you ovulating, because part of nature, when it, you know, it wants you to make a baby at this time, now you gonna be looking good, so that these men could be flocking like, dang, she look good, dang, she glowing. Like, it's all a nature thing, an attractive thing. That's why, and when leading up to ovulation, that's why I say you might feel completely normal. You might feel like, that you can breathe and stuff. Now, ovulation is when stuff start kind of getting intense, because now once you ovulate, and even leading up to ovulation, it's very normal for you to feel very horny. But y'all know what horny is. Horny is when you want to fuck. So you might have very intense periods of that. That's just you ovulating, because that's your body wanting to make a baby. So that's nature designing that so that we can, you know, the more times you fuck, the more likely you are to get pregnant. Like, that's just math at that point. So at this point in time, sometimes you might all of a sudden be wanting to have a baby. Totally normal. Totally normal. If you're not ready for a baby, don't give into it. If you're ready for a baby, by all means. But if you're not ready for a baby, and then you're just having these thoughts like, oh, I want a baby, I want to fuck, I feel beautiful, I feel like I just want to hump something, oh, I want a baby, I want a baby. No, that's just your body, you ovulating. And no, it will be over within a week. Probably a couple days, honestly, depending. I don't know if I explained, but the reason why ovulation is the peak time for having a baby is because that's when the egg is coming down your tube. And then at that point, that's when it gets, that's basically the time for it to get, like, for the sperm to meet it, and then for it to implant and into your walls and actually grow the baby. So that's why the only time you can get pregnant is at ovulation, because before ovulation, your egg is still in your ovary. After ovulation, is damn near already in your walls, and it's already building up the blood. So hey, the egg is gone at like that point. It's no longer fertile. Another thing is too, when that egg starts coming down your fallopian tube, it only has about 24 hours while it's still fertile, I believe, about 24 to 46. I think it's like a day or two. But remember, sperm can stay alive in your uterus for 6 days. So even if you ovulate on a Monday and say that's when that egg come out and it's fertile, if you were still humping and bumping on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there's still a probability that you could get pregnant, because sperm still can live in you. It might not be as strong, but it can live in you. Just be cautious. But yeah, that egg, once it's there, it has about a day or two before to get like fertilized, before it continues to move down, and basically it's not fertile no more. It kind of dies off, literally. Now I'm going to go into the second half of our cycle, which is most of the time not as fun. And most of the time is where we feel like we're going batshit crazy. Sometimes we be going crazy, but then sometimes people really do be trying us. So basically, after you ovulate, now you have about 2 or 3 more weeks until your period comes. And at this point in time, if you are not pregnant, that's when your body's just like, well, damn. Sometimes it feels like you get punished for not being pregnant. But, I mean, that's just your body. So you might, like a week or 2 before, well, I really want to talk about after ovulation, you might, a lot of women go through this thing called PMDD, which is called premenstrual depression disorder or premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And some women, after you ovulate, about a week after or so, you might get very, very intense feelings of depression. So you might be very sad, very sensitive, suicidal. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of women end up getting thoughts of that. Not to scare you guys, but just to put awareness out there, because it happens to so many women. And so many times we just think like, in the moment, it's just like, dang, I don't know why I'm so depressed. And especially if you already deal with depression or sadness, you might feel like, oh my gosh, this depression is coming back. What do I do? You might feel like you can't shake it off of you. Like, and it might feel so intense. But if your period is coming, you had to kind of remind yourself, and I want you guys to know that's just your hormone changes. So yes, those thoughts might feel very real. Your sensitivity is gonna feel very real. You know, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I be getting sensitive. Like when my period's coming and my boyfriend be making jokes, I'm like, what the fuck is funny? You know, you might want to be alone. It happens, but I promise y'all, it's just hormones. It's just your hormones. And sometimes that's just it. I don't know why our brain does that or why the hormones make us do that sometimes. But during this time, that's why I say it's very important that you take care of yourself and you use this time as your period to really practice your practices for real. So before my period comes, one thing that I do is I'm eating my cravings. That's another thing. You might have cravings. One thing that I do to make me feel better, I'm eating them bitches. I'ma eat. Like, you telling me I'm kind of going insane in the brain, and then, you know, a lot of women beat themselves up about craving stuff too. Like, damn, I'm craving chocolate cake, but you know I shouldn't eat that, and I'm on a diet, and I just worked out today, and I really want Chick-fil-A, but I'm not gonna get it. Get it. Okay, you're already going insane in the brain. The least you could do is get a treat. Eat your cravings, y'all. Eat your cravings. You crave one thing. I remember one point in time, I craved s'mores so bad. That was the only thing I wanted. If it wasn't s'mores, I don't care. And next day comes, period's here. And it's like, I wanted it. It happens, y'all. Eat it. Especially if you know your period is coming, eat it. You know, sometimes our brain and our thoughts, and remember, sometimes your thoughts, they're just thoughts. They're just lies. It's okay. But your thoughts and stuff are already kind of going crazy. Eat. Just eat. It's going to make you feel better. Eat and take a fucking nap. Okay? Eat and nap. It happens. And that's another thing that might happen when your periods come in. Aside from mood changes and how your sensitivity and stuff, you might get very fatigued, exhausted. Like, understand that, yes, you're going to be tired. Your boobs going to get sore. But it's okay. It's just hormones. One thing that I can say, though, is that if your PMS symptoms are getting to the point where you cannot even handle it no more, sometimes if you go to the doctor with your PMS symptoms and you tell them, oh, like, I'm really feeling really depressed before my period comes, they're going to tell you to go on birth control. I'm going to tell you not to do it because there's so many herbs and oils and things out here that you can try to use that will help you. Things are getting really, really hard. Look for things to help. Look for herbs to help. And if it comes to the point where you just want to go on birth control, that's easy for you. And hey, it's there. No judgment. Do that too. You got to, like I said, you got to do what you want to do. But it's just my period. Because it is just your period. But at the same time, if you're suffering, your period should still be kind of fun. Don't suffer through it. Because listen, you're about to bleed. You're about to have a pad on for a couple days. Don't suffer no more than you got to. And another thing that might happen before your period comes, you might shit a lot. Your period, not your period, but your cramps and everything are releasing more hormones. So that might sometimes affect your digestive system. And now you're cramping and everything, and now you might gotta shit because now your system is kind of running too. That's totally normal, y'all. Just keep some wipes or a bidet. Shit, girl. Because sometimes that PMS really can take you out. And PMSing, I don't know if I said it, but it's basically just symptoms that you get before your period. Is different for everybody, like always. So You just had to learn yourself, realize your cycles, and see and really learn. Because one thing for me that I had to learn to do was like, after I ovulate, all of a sudden my mood would kind of get a little low, or I would kind of get real sensitive. Sometimes when you find yourself in that same predicament where your mood just went down or something, sometimes you literally just gotta look at that calendar and be like, bro, is my period coming, or something like that. And sometimes it can happen 2 to 3 weeks before your period, and I know that's a long time, but it can happen. It's very possible, but just know it's okay. And the thing with PMDD is like, once your period comes, it's pretty much gone. Like you're back feeling like yourself once your period comes. You know, some women, you might cry the day before your period, and then your period comes and it's like, damn, I knew some shit was up. And sometimes though, you might really be depressed though. So either way it goes, if you really need to talk to somebody, talk to a professional. They can always let you know. Okay, well, before I go into birth control, I also want to say that if you have a late period or missed period, that is 100% normal. Now, if you was fucking unprotected, finishing, it's above me now. But if you're like a teenager, you're not really having sex, or even a person, my bad, y'all, I forgot some people really just don't be having sex. If you're just not having sex and stuff, but you get a late or missed period, it's okay. It happens. Sometimes stress can affect your period to the point where you push it back, or where it just doesn't come. Sometimes, same thing with like anxiety, even trauma. I actually learned that a lot of reproductive, I guess, diseases they call them, are sometimes based off of trauma. So sometimes if you have been through a lot of trauma, or you're going through trauma during puberty, sometimes you can develop things like endometriosis or PCOS and stuff, which can make your periods late or missed. So just know, like, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's just things that you're going through. Sometimes when you are first getting your period, your hormones are figuring itself out. Your body, you know, it's something new for your body. So your body is learning, like, okay, this needs to go here and this needs to go there. It's time to do this, it's time to do that. And sometimes you might be, it's just a later missed period, and that's okay. It's okay. As long as you wasn't fucking and finishing, it's okay. 100% okay. If it ever gets to the point, sometimes you just don't know, take a pregnancy test as soon as your missed period comes, or a week after. Sometimes there's women out there who have endometriosis. Endometriosis is where your uterine tissue grows to other parts in your body. Some women is very severe to the point where their uterine tissue is literally everywhere, and some women is just, it might be in your stomach, it might be a little bit outside, but either way it goes, that uterine tissue should be in your uterus. It shouldn't be in your anywhere else, basically. But because it ends up growing in other places, once your period comes, or your or PMS comes, your symptoms might be very worse than the average person. And with endometriosis, you can have very, very heavy periods, very heavy bleeding. You can also have very heavy cravings, very heavy PMS symptoms. And that's just because you had that uterine tissue just growing everywhere. And you can have very bad cramps. I know I didn't say it, but a cramp, I don't even know how to explain it, but listen, when you get a cramp, you're gonna know. You feel it down there. It just feels like a cramp. It really does. And when people, I'm not gonna say it feels like somebody stabbing you, because to me, it doesn't. It's different for every woman, but it really just feels like I don't know how to explain it, but when you know, you know. Another thing of ovulation that you will know is that you might get a cramp or a twinge, but it's just on one side. So, and another thing with ovulation is each month the ovaries are supposed to take turns releasing an egg, so that twinge or cramp that you get is basically your ovary releasing that egg. And sometimes when your egg comes out the ovary, it might leave a little blood, or you just feel it. So that's why you might get a cramp, or you might feel a cramp, and it might just nag. That shit is so annoying, y'all, because it's like you just and you'll be doing it for like a couple of days, and it's like, my period coming, but then it's like, no, it's too soon. Just ovulation. Just want to say that. So yeah, that's endometriosis. There are herbs that you can take, and as always, if you want to do more research, or you might feel like you have it, consult a professional. Go online, look it up. get that taken care of for yourself. You might, there's also something called PCOS. This is not to scare you guys. It's just something that's common, and it's something that so many of us went through when we were young and we had no idea until we got older and we got tired of it and we're like, the fuck? So I just want to let you know that, because the sooner you can catch on and learn about it, the sooner you can do something about it, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's something that I was like a candidate for, I guess. And that's where you can have cysts on your ovaries, irregular periods, overweight, gaining weight fast, gaining weight quick. You might have weight like on your stomach and everything. That's PCOS. But with each of these things, I just want to say, if you go to the doctor, they're going to tell you to go on birth control. Now, we getting into our birth control talk. I want to say, if you don't want birth control is a medicine. It is a Western medicine. They basically are giving you artificial or fake hormones in this pill for you to take. I just want to say there's other alternatives. There's herbs that you can use. There's different like home remedies that you can use, DIY type stuff that you can do. Earth has so much plant medicine that you can use, so you don't always have to go on birth control, because sometimes when you go and get birth control, they don't tell you all of the things associated with it, because there are so many side effects to birth control. Birth control, and this is not to scare nobody, because it helps a lot of women as well, especially if you don't want to get pregnant. Like, by all means, take the birth control. If it works for you, you like it, great. But I also want you guys to know that there's other alternatives, and I want you guys to know that birth control is always not the way to go. Some women get on birth control, gain a lot of weight. Some women get on birth control, their moods get worse to the point where they can't even control it for real. Like, lashing out, irritated, depressed. Like, birth control is not always the best thing. And just because they push it so much does not mean that you should get it. If you feel in your soul that you don't want that, totally fine. There's so many different alternatives and herbs that you could take. But yeah, it helps a lot of women too. A lot of women, especially if you have endometriosis, like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And you just got to get on that birth control. Because I'm not going to say you can die with endometriosis, but sometimes it's very painful. And nobody knows that pain except for you. You're the one going through it. So if at that point you got to get on birth control, get it. For real. And I believe it's free if you have insurance. And even if you don't, Planned Parenthood has birth control that you can get probably for free or for a reduced price. If it comes to that point, get the birth control. But I also just want to say, my sister was saying how getting off of birth control once you're older, or getting off of birth control period, might be a little harder, because you just pumped your body, or you just put all these fake hormones into your body. And now that you're not, your body gets used to all those hormones, right? And the purpose of birth control, the real purpose of birth control is it blocks sperm from reaching the egg, basically. And it stops the egg from like being released all the way. So once you get your period, it's not like a real period. I say it's a fake period. And that's the thing with birth control. That's the positives of birth control too, is that you know when your period's coming. It ain't no guessing. It ain't no, I don't know which day is. Yeah, my period's coming this day, and it's gonna come that day, and it's pretty certain, or robotic, I guess. But yeah, once you get off of it, after you just kind of pumped your body with all those hormones, like, it's normal for your body. It has to get back to normal, and it has to get back to doing things on its own. So once you get off of it, you might have sporadic periods. You might have heavy periods. You might have light periods. There's really no telling for real. Everybody is different. Not have a period. You might get pregnant as soon as you off birth control, because there's just so much happening, and your body has to really get used to. And it's not even like you stop taking birth control and all those hormones are gone. No, those hormones are still inside of you, because you're taking it every day. So now your body those hormones have to kind of flush out, and now your body has to get used to doing it on its own and releasing those hormones. Sometimes it can be hard for women who are off birth control, because they don't know when their period's coming, or sometimes you might spot, and you just spotting. And that's because of the hormones. It really, really is, y'all. And I also want to get into the different kinds of birth control. So of course you have the pill. There's also 2 different pills, I believe. You can have one with estrogen, one with progesterone, I think. So The pill you have to take every day at the same time. You cannot miss a day, you cannot miss a time, or you're done. Like, the pill, it doesn't work. Even if you skip a day or something, you're done. But then you also have one that they can put into your arm, which is where they just do an incision, and it's like a rod. They stick it up in there. The rod has all your hormones and everything that you need for like 3 years, and it just stays inside of you, and it's working that way that you don't even have to worry about for 3 years. And it might be even more years now at this point in time, but when I was a teenager, it was still 3 years. Then you have something called the patch, which is like, to me, it looks like a Band-Aid, a square Band-Aid. You put it like on your ab, your back, your butt, and it sticks to you. Some women say they're perfectly fine, it sticks, but some women it does come off. You have to try. But that's the same thing. It just releases all those hormones into your skin that way. Another form of birth control is the IUD. The IUD is the one the IUD and the shot is the one that gets the most worst reviews, because the IUD, they put it through your cervix and then release it in there, so it's just sitting in your uterus like this. Not literally, but kind of like this. Like, okay, it's a thing and it's like that. And it's sitting in your uterus, and that way it's releasing all those hormones and everything. Some women still do get pregnant with it, and then they also have like a copper one. I just know that the process for that hurts. So if you are opting for an IUD, and the IUD is the same thing, it just stays in you for a couple of years. If you're opting for an IUD, please ask for pain management options, because so many women have said that they have passed out, that they weren't prepared for how bad it was or how the cramps were gonna be. So please ask questions. That's another thing I want to emphasize. Your body is your body. Ask questions. If you feel something's wrong, ask questions. Please do not be afraid. Please do not be afraid. These doctors, yes, some of them like their jobs, but a lot of them, they don't give a fuck. So please, please, please ask questions. Ask them, is this gonna hurt? What have women said? Tell them, my period, it don't feel right, something's wrong. Like, let them know. And if your doctor's still listening to you, don't be afraid to keep going to doctors until you get hurt. This is your body. Every woman's different. Some women have even said it wasn't that bad for them. Listen, just ask. Don't nobody want to be in that much pain. Like, you might as well damn well have had a baby or some shit. Like, don't come for me. I know that's more of a process, but I'm just saying, making a joke. Other thing that I was talking about is a shot, which is where they literally give you a shot. Same thing. It lasts in you for a couple months or years. But with that, so many, especially Black women. So if you are a Black woman or girl watching this, please understand that there are so many cases of Black women who say do not get on Depot. That's what it's called. It's called the Depot shot. So many Black women have given so many bad reviews about it, like just saying how they have gained so much weight, their moods are so out of whack, or their periods are still so heavy, or they're bleeding for months, no end. So please advocate, please research. Y'all take care of yourselves with these birth controls. So yeah, the last thing that I want to talk about is working out. If you are a teen, you know, you might be doing sports in school, or maybe not. Shit, I wasn't. I'm tired. I'm going home and taking a nap. But if you are a teenager, even a woman, a girl, and I just want you to know that if you lose weight, losing or gaining weight can affect your periods. So when I lost a bunch of weight, my period came back. Whenever I gain weight, for some reason, my period goes away. So that's why I say you have to know yourself. Some women, it doesn't matter. You can be big, small, your period coming, doesn't matter. But for some women, you can work out, your period still gonna come. But it's kind of like, if you're working out and stuff, you have to continue to take care of yourself and take care of your nutrition, because once you add working out, whether you're trying to gain or lose weight, once you add in working out has so many benefits for your hormones, your stress levels and everything. Your nutrition kind of has to follow. And I'm not saying be on a diet, because bitch, I ain't do that either. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't on no diet. But if you're working out, you had to fuel yourself. So you had to kind of add more food or more nutritious foods. Because if you work out and you just losing weight, your period could disappear. And that's kind of why women who have anorexia, they don't get a period, because they're so tiny that their body is just trying to survive. To the, you know, so they're so tiny to the point that like their body ain't worried about a period. They're just trying to survive. Didn't mean to laugh or chuckle. And say that you do like a lot of cardio, that can affect your period. But say you also do a lot of lifting, especially heavy lifting or strenuous exercise, that can affect your period too. You just have to find a balance and be careful. If you are working out, if you are lifting, don't overexert yourself. Like, it's cool to lift heavy and all that and challenge yourself, but don't overexert yourself. You had to, at that point, you really just had to learn your body. Some women, they can only exercise a couple times. Some women, if they exercise too much, the period stops. Some women, once they start exercising, their periods might be more stabilized. Their moods might be more stabilized. Their PMS symptoms might be more stabilized. It's different for everybody, but I just want you guys to know, if you're working out or if you're a teenager doing sports in school, that can also affect your period in great ways. Not just bad, y'all, but in great ways too. Like, I know it sounds like so much work, but y'all, it's a period. You're getting it once every month or so you're gonna have a lot of time. You don't have to figure it out right now. You're gonna have so much time, and as you get older, things are gonna change too. Your symptoms change, your periods change. As you get older, then boom, menopause. So I forgot to talk about cramps more and like what exactly are they and everything like that. So real quick, cramps is like a pain. Some women it's painful, some women it's like tolerable, but it's like a pain that you feel, and the reason why you get it is because it's like your uterus's way of contracting. So like the same way when you go into labor, you have contractions. Cramps is kind of like that, but not like labor's a whole another thing. But the same way how like when you have a baby and you contract to get the baby out, you have cramps to contract to get the blood out. And sometimes if you're bleeding heavy, cramps are like the way that your body might slow it down, and then blood clots are like the way that your body will slow it down too. But the thing with blood clots are like, if you have heavy blood clots or your blood clotting period, your cervix has to open, and then that's where like you really get cramps. So sometimes you might cramp and then it'll go away like after a blood clot comes out, and sometimes you'll just cramp at first when the blood is like first coming out, and it's really just because the cervix has to open. The cervix is like a tiny hole, and it has to open a little bit, so it basically dilates when you get your period. And yeah, that's why you get cramps. It's just its way of letting all the blood come back out and everything like that. I forgot to put that in there. That's all that I have for this video. If I missed anything, I'm definitely gonna make more. That's what I'm here for. I feel like a lot of us just weren't taught a lot of things when it comes to period, when it comes to sex, when it comes to love, money, like just so, you know, we just weren't taught a lot. So that's what I want to do. I hope that you guys found the things that I said helpful. And if you have any questions or anything, please don't be afraid to ask, whether that's me or whether that's somebody else. Don't be afraid to ask. Please ask. There's no dumb questions when it comes to periods in your body. No dumb questions, okay? If you need to know something, then you need to fucking know. And that's that on that. Because if you have any other ideas, let me know. And yeah, happy perioding to everybody. Happy flowing to everybody. Keep practicing, keep going. And like I always say, you got it, because you really do. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this and for being here and for learning and for even taking the time out to like learn on your own and stuff if you're watching this video. So yeah. Bye.